and thanks for listening to another Conversations with Kate. Today I'm joined by Kim O'Brien, the market manager for Melrose Farmers Market, and we're in the middle of farmers market season, so Kim, it's so nice to get to meet you and talk about all the good work you're doing.
Thank you. We're so glad to be here. This is our time of year, and we are more than happy to share with everyone what we're up to.
Great. So for those who don't know, the Melrose Farmers Market was established in 1994 by Sally Frank. It's a nonprofit organization that provides all Melrose area residents with the opportunity to buy and learn about nutritious, locally grown and produced foods. The market promotes local farms, organizations, and businesses, and builds community while contributing to a sustainable future. Love it. So why don't we start out? I think you're relatively new in this role. Sort of. You've been with the market for a bit, but now you've taken over as the market manager. So let us know a little bit more about you, your professional and personal trajectory that led you to this role.
Sure. I actually was born and raised on Long Island and fell in love with New England when I came up here for college at 17. And anyone who's known me back to that age says, you finally moved back to New England. You've wanted to do it since you were, I don't know, a teen. And I have. So I had come to college up here. I had left college. Well, I had graduated college. I didn't leave. I had graduated college. I moved to the Philadelphia area and went to law school at Villanova. I graduated from Villanova Law School, stayed in the Philadelphia area for a couple of years, and then moved to the Jersey Shore and lived in an area south of Atlantic City, between Atlantic City and Cape May, and had my legal career there doing litigation, mostly employment and labor law. And then when I reached that monumental age of 50, I jokingly said to a number of people, I am on my 50-year plan. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something in New England and move onward. And the timing all came together. Ironically, I moved up here because I had done a lot of employment and labor law in the casino industry.
Oh, interesting.
In Atlantic City.
Okay.
And I knew some people who were coming from those casinos to work at Encore Boston Harbor. I came up here with that in mind and arrived here in May of 19, had done some various consulting work in legal and employment law areas, more of a consultant than as an attorney because I don't practice in Massachusetts. And then the pandemic hit.
Right.
And
less than a year after you'd relocated.
8 months.
Right.
Which really changed everything. But one thing that I realized once the pandemic hit was how much more important it was to be active in your community, because that is now where we were all kind of nesting. And that brought me to start volunteering at the farmers market, which I did when I got here in 19, just a few times because it was very, very close to my house, and I would go on a walk with my dog, and I thought, this looks like a wonderful place, and I'd like to get to know some more local people. And then once the pandemic hit, I became much more immersed in helping navigate and continue the good works of the farmers market within the confines of the pandemic restrictions.
Wow. So, right, you've really only mostly seen and engaged with and led now the farmers market during the time of COVID.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's interesting to just hear about your trajectory. I do a series of community conversations quarterly throughout the year, and the one that we did in January was, and it's with experts, a panel of experts who sort of talk from their perspectives and their backgrounds. This one was a little different from some that we've done that are a little bit more policy oriented. This one was setting intentions for a holistic new year and lifelong learning, and it's your story sort of inspiring in that way of saying there's always new chapters in your life that you can experience or lead on new initiatives or passions that you might have or places to live.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you said that it was a holistic talk that you had, because what I had done by way of background is as I got later into my legal career and I saw people's health within my own profession declining from stress, from exhaustion, from unmanaged issues at home, I started practicing yoga.
Oh.
I became a certified yoga instructor. I was a paddleboarder. I became a certified paddleboard instructor. and taught paddle yoga. And then I went and got a nutrition certification at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York City, which was an 8-month course, because I wanted to learn more about how we can make ourselves either well or healthy with how we approach life and how we approach nutrition. So it's very interesting that I used that as a pivot point and then ended up at a farmer's market.
Right. But it also sort of, in retrospect, makes sense. You can see the through line.
Absolutely. Yeah. I could see how illness in the workplace, the difference I always tell people between illness and wellness is you replace I with we. Mm-hmm. And you really see when you do that and you get out of your own way and you change your path, how your community matters so much and how what you surround yourself with and immerse yourself in matters. And for me, that the Melrose Farmers Market has been a pinnacle part of that puzzle for me.
That's great. And I think for other people in the community. So tell us a little bit about the farmers market for people who may not have engaged with it much yet. You know, where can you find it? When? How can people get involved? Whether they want to be patrons, whether they want to be supporters, whether they have their own, homemade wares or goods or produce that they'd like to sell.
Sure. We meet every Thursday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. on West Emerson and Vinton, which is the Bowdoin Park. A lot of local Melrosians have told me that they thought maybe the name was changed to Bowdoin Park because they all know it as Cedar Park.
Right, because of the train station there. Yes.
The train station there is Cedar Park. The physical park itself is Bowdoin Park. So if you know where the Cedar Park train station is, we are across the street. And we meet from 1 to 6 p.m. We start the first Thursday in June. And we're one of the latest farm markets around because we end the last Thursday in October.
Okay.
We have a host of regular weekly vendors that include fresh produce, fresh vegetables, farm fresh eggs. We have a vendor who has beef, pork, chicken, and sausage that they make all at their farm that they also bring. We have people serving ready-to-go food. For example, we have someone this year who's a new vendor who makes a sweet and savory rugula. And she calls it We Make, You Bake. So you buy them frozen, they're ready to go. We have someone who does empanadas who's been a vendor for years named El Sur Empanadas. And they bring a variety of different types of empanadas frozen. You can bring them home and bake them. But we also have something such as Guru Caterer, which brings Indian food that is prepared and hot, and people can come and pick up their dinner, or they can sit on the lawn and bring a blanket. Same with our creperie. They make crepes on the spot, and people sit and enjoy and picnic in the area. We have live music every week from 3:30 to 5:30. And before that, we get whatever random Amazon track I attach to our speakers and play for the crowd. But it's a great place for community, and we also include nonprofit entities. So a nonprofit entity can have a free table once a month, and we cover that, and we set it up for them. We set up their tent, and we allow them to come, assuming that it is an apolitical organization. The only thing that we don't allow is partisan politics because it doesn't fit within the mission of the market. Mm-hmm. But anyone else can have a nonprofit table if they're a nonprofit, and they can fundraise, they can educate the public. So in a lot of different ways, we try to bring together food security, sustainable farming, local produce, local businesses, as well as nonprofits, community activities. For example, we're starting the Family Resource Network is partnering with us
One
this
of
year.
my very early podcast guests.
They are joining with us. I'm thrilled again this year. And they're going to do a 6-week story time.
Oh,
it's going to start in the middle of July. It's going to go through the end of August. And it's going to be from 3 to 3:30.
Well, I know where I'm going to be on a Thursday in August when the legislative session is recessed.
Absolutely.
I have a 4-year-old, so.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
3 to 3:30?
3 to 3:30. And we do put out a newsletter every week by email.
Okay.
It is something you can register for at the bottom of our website. Our website is melrosefarmersmarket.com. lipper-garabian.org. And at the bottom, it asks if you want to subscribe to the e-newsletter. I write them every week. I try to get them out sometime between Monday and Tuesday. It will list that week's vendors, but we also update our Facebook page and our Instagram page, and I'm trying to get better at doing the Instagram page, but I always update the Facebook page, and I always include an Instagram and Facebook story that lists what's going on that week and gives people information. So those are some places that you can find out what we're up to and what we're doing. We've had things.
And what is your website?
It is melrosefarmersmarket.org.
Perfect.
And our email, if anybody is listening and wants to reach out, it's melrosefarmersmarket@gmail.com, and that goes directly to me. And if you have questions about what we're up to, if you want to learn more, and that brings me to what we always need, which is volunteers. You can email us to volunteer, but we also have a volunteer sign up on our website. And if you go down to the bottom, it says sign up for volunteers, and there's time slots, and the volunteer duties vary. We need people to set up and we need people to break down, but sometimes that can involve things that are beyond the physical limitations of some people who want to volunteer. Maybe they're not comfortable carrying a table or a tent or chairs. We have other duties during the day, which are sometimes just going through the market. We do a count every 15 minutes. And being in the legislature, I'm sure you understand that counting our numbers and tracking how many people are actively shopping helps us when we apply for grants and funding and just keeping track of our own budget. So that's something that we could use a volunteer to do, that maybe they wouldn't have the physical abilities to lift tables and chairs, but they want to help us. And those are things, even giving customers information, that we can really use volunteers for.
Great. You also talked with me before we started taping about you have some sustainability supporters, people who provide donations to support your nonprofit.
Absolutely. And one thing that I don't think people realize is that it actually costs us money to run the market. And we do get tent fees from our vendors, but they're at a lower rate so that they can afford during COVID to keep coming and to pay every week. So our vendors do pay a fee for their tent. However, we have so many other things that we do in terms of outreach, in terms of creating programs, in terms of paying someone like myself to run the market.
Right.
And even things that supplies we need to buy, things we need to replace. Someone actually, one of our wonderful board members, Doris Bray, yesterday donated to us a wagon that she ordered and paid for to give to us so that we can move things around. But those are the types of things that I don't think people necessarily understand we have to pay for.
Right.
So in terms of contributions, we have a PayPal account, and there is a link on our website where people can click and they can donate. One thing that we have been noticing has been happening once in a while lately, and we really appreciate, is people who make a recurring donation. So if people feel as though maybe they don't have a large sum of money to give to the market, it's important for people to realize that even a $10 or $20 a month recurring donation that you set up through PayPal would make a huge difference to us. I can't even imagine the operating funds that we would have to be able to do outreach, SNAP, community engagement, get more resources and products to offer to the community if we had every person making even a small recurring donation. We have a wonderful, wonderful woman who makes a $100 monthly recurring donation. And I know that that is beyond the means of many, many people. But just the fact that she thinks of us on a recurring donation every month and contributes makes the world of difference. And her incredibly generous donation provides so much more opportunity for our market. So I just ask people, when you're thinking about how much you love the market, which a lot of people have told us, every single Thursday when I close down the market at 6 o'clock, our lawn is packed. It is packed with picnic blankets and families and children running around and parents talking to their neighbors. If you think about how much you enjoy it and there is any room in your budget, I would ask that you consider us as a very worthy place to put your donation. And I can promise you that we do not operate at a profit, and your money is going directly back to your community.
That's great. So that's really helpful for people to know about how to be supporters, how to patronize, and how to perhaps, be a vendor themselves. So lots of places to go to get more information.
Yeah, and if anyone is interested in being a vendor themselves, we're very packed this year with vendors. However, people can always go onto the website. We have a vendor application. They can apply. If it is a product for human consumption, it requires approval of the Board of Health after you get approval from us to be a vendor. So there's a process. But again, melrosefarmersmarket@gmail.com. I will answer any of your questions. melrosefarmersmarket.org. You can get details in the applications.
That's great. Before we wrap, I also want to have a chance just to sort of talk about, what you want state policymakers like me to be thinking about in terms of food sustainability, food security, and climate issues. I'm interested to hear if you're hearing from vendors that things are changing in terms of what kind of produce they could provide. Certainly in the State House, we've been really concerned about food security during the pandemic and have put a lot of appropriated money into programs to support people. I've, as a office of two, have created a resource that I've updated periodically with food resources in the 32nd Middlesex District area, and people can find that at tinyurl.com/KLG-COVID-food. As you know, I'm sure the House has voted to extend the free school meals program. There was a federal program that's ending or just ended as the school year ended, but we've suggested we want to keep it alive for a whole nother year because we know that there are still many families struggling and that this has been a critical component for them getting through the week. And as we've discussed, there's the Healthy Incentives Program, which allows people to use some of their food benefit programs at farmers markets at an incredible value, right? And better access to sort of local healthy options for food. So those are some things that are on my mind when I think about supporting your mission and where we're in a great alignment, but I'm interested to hear also what you'd like me to be thinking about.
Sure. The first thing I'll hit on is the climate issue. This year at Healthy Melrose, we brought a few farmers market vendors in, and we tried to do a pop-up farmers market at the Healthy Melrose event, which was May, I believe, 7th. It was the very first week of May. This year, I had a very difficult time getting farmers because many of them, either their crops weren't ready or they had lost crops because it had been abnormally cold throughout the spring and into the early spring. So, for example, one of the farms that I called, she said to me, I just lost a whole bunch of crops in the last 2 weeks. I don't have anything ready to go. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that the various produce is ready later and later in the season as a result of climate issues. So that's something that we routinely are seeing reoccur for our vendors. This week was strawberries starting to come out, and snap peas made their first appearance this week. But again, things are moving later into the season because of climate control issues. So I will just plant that seed for you.
Be mindful of that.
To be mindful of the fact that it is shifting what is available and when it is available and what it is costing our farmers. We're all lamenting over the cost of gas right now. Farm equipment runs on gasoline. It runs on diesel fuel. It runs on things that now are costing them more. The materials that get shipped to them to run their farm are being shipped from other areas. They're absorbing that increased cost in the cost of their increasing products. So all of that put together really changes the marketplace. I will say that we had a 400% increase in our SNAP match requests during the pandemic.
Wow.
And as a market, that's one of the many things that we do. We provide a 10 for 10 match. We will charge someone's SNAP card $10. We will give them $10 additional in return. So your $10 off of your SNAP card, we process it and we give you back $20 in market bucks. And you can use those market bucks to shop at any SNAP approved vendor at the market. Anywhere that you could use your SNAP card, you can use your SNAP bucks. Then we have another component to that, which is within your SNAP money, within your SNAP resource budget, you have either $40, $60, or $80 of HIP money. And that depends upon whether you're an individual, a couple, a family. And I always encourage people, there's a phone number on the back of the card. And there are oftentimes language barriers with people who are using their SNAP benefits. And I had a discussion with a woman yesterday who spoke a dialect of Chinese, and I was trying to help her late in the day. And I directed her to that number, and they have resources on those lines where you can get instructions in your own language.
That's great. That may be through a work with Project Bread, also a podcast guest some months ago.
Yeah. So what people can do is they can come and they can spend their HIP money. HIP money is within your SNAP money.
Healthy Incentive Program.
Healthy Incentive Program. Yep. Once you spend it, it goes right back onto your card. So it is almost a magic transaction. You feel like you're paying $40 or $60 or $80 of SNAP money, but it immediately gets returned to your card after it's charged. So that's free produce. Mm-hmm. And you have to spend that at the farms. But we have vendors that accept the card. They will try to process your HIP first. If you don't have any HIP benefits because you've already spent them for the month, you get them again the next month and you can try again. But people can come, use $10 of SNAP money,
right,
get $20 from us, and then get another $40, $60, or $80 of HIP benefits in free produce. So during a time when people are really struggling to make ends meet and the cost of food is rising, you could potentially leave with $100 worth of produce for $10 if you're a family.
That's great. Thanks for making sure that people hear that, and we'll continue to look for opportunities to promote it from my office as well.
And we do try our best to explain it to people when we do the market bucks. So if anyone has a question, please come to the market tent. We're there every week from 1 to 6. And it will say Melrose Farmers Market on our table. We're always in the tree garden area, as I refer to it, on the West Emerson south side of the street. Come and we will do our best to explain it to you. And I've even used other people in the community who speak various languages to serve as a go-between. So we're there for you, and we really, really do want to help you.
Great. Well, Kim, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I certainly learned a lot more about the farmers market, and I know our listeners will as well. It's encouraging to hear about all the different ways you could interact with what's really a hub of the community for bringing people together. I really loved that. I've never heard that before. The difference between illness and wellness is about going from I to we, and you're living that out with the work that you're doing. People can be volunteers with you. They can support you through financial means. They can show up and support the farmers and the other vendors that are there by shopping. They can even maybe have their own tent or table at some point. Lots of ways to get involved. What are a couple of your favorite things that you like to purchase at the farmers market? Are you looking forward to getting later on this season?
Okay, so Fabian's tent. Fabian is our European pastry chef, who's the pastry chef at the Charles Hotel and has his own business at his home in Melrose, has a commercial kitchen set up in his home that is a separate kitchen, and he produces the most incredible, delicious pastries. And I guess good for my gym membership, but bad for my waistline. His tent is right next to us. So I spend far too much time popping over there. But so far this year, I've gotten some delicious asparagus at Oakdale Farms. Yesterday I got fabulous raspberries from them too. They're directly in front of my tent. So sometimes when I'm running around, I don't have an opportunity to get as many things. But the microgreens, I encourage everybody, go talk to Greg at Meta Microgreens, and you will learn things that you never knew, that they're not just tiny little plants. They are the best source of nutrients on the planet. And he even carries a plant that is the largest plant-based source of omegas in the universe. And people don't know that. So I think there's just some great things you can learn.
That's great.
July 21st will be our first children's entrepreneur event, and we're going to send out a separate mailer on that. I just posted it for the first time yesterday. I've talked to Stephanie Nelson at the Chamber about getting some Melrose business owners to help mentor our kids on how to do business. And there'll be more to come on that, but keep an eye out for that.
That's great. Well, Kim, thank you so much for joining us today for our Conversations with Kate. It's been a pleasure to talk with you. This is Kate Lipper-Garabedian signing off with Kim O'Brien, the market manager at Melrose Farmers Market.
Thank you so much for having us.